Speaking of things that are plucked from trees.
Whoa! What?
Wow.
Oh my God!
We didn't plan that.
You didn't.
We've been doing this long enough, though, that usually something happens.
Something grows.
Ooh.
A seed was planted.
A seed was planted, and a seed grows. Two of them, actually, usually.
That's true.
In the coffee cherry. Not always.
Not always.
But that's another podcast.
There's a lot of other podcasts.
Well, there are a lot. Yes. Well, if we want to go into that, I guess. You want to go into the the biology of the coffee tree?
I don't think anyone wants to hear about that.
Probably not.
What they do want to hear about is that we have a cold brew in a can from someone that we like their beers from.
Yes. We have had one of their coffees.
And it's even bourbon barrel aged.
These are all good things.
I hope so. For this Give It a Shot. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Keith. And we are AboutBeverages.com. And the beverage that we are about today is the bourbon barrel aged Papua New Guinea Keto Tapasi cold brew from Modern Times Coffee.
That is a mouthful. I'm so glad I
Hopefully
had you read
this
that.
will be as well. It's the least I can do is read that. But now I'm spent.
I'm out. You need some coffee to wake you up, don't
yes, that's why. Yes, absolutely. After reading all of that information, one needs to recharge.
I have not had a lot of cold brew. I think for the most part, our feelings on it have been well known, at least to you and I, because we talk about it. Cold brew in general, to me, and this process, it takes a bad cup of coffee or a bad bean and it brings it up because it levels it off.
Yep.
And if you've got a great cup of coffee that's got all these neat little intricate, like delicate high notes, it brings it down.
Right.
Not necessarily making it a bad cup of coffee.
No.
It can still be the best of what you could have gotten out of a cold brew. Like,
Right.
that's kind of, I think, where sometimes it gets lost when I have this discussion with people. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
so you're saying it makes it... I'm not saying it makes it bad.
No.
I'm saying that some of the delicate things that you used to get up here when you brew it as it should be,
Right.
with a hot cup of coffee, and then bring it down here,
Right.
that you lose some of those.
I was having this exact same conversation with one of my coworkers last week because he was talking about that he makes cold brew, does different things. And once again, it's fine. We sell, Trader Joe's has it. We sell a ton of it. People make it all the time.
it's very popular.
But exactly what you said. It takes this and brings it here. It takes this and brings it here.
Right.
And
it does
we
not
did a
make
lot
them
of-
meet.
No.
I think that's where people sometimes, like when I do that, they're like, oh, so you're saying they completely... It's like, well, no. I'm still saying that this
it
good one is going to be
equalizes
up
them
here,
more, though.
but it's like,
Yeah.
it could have been up here.
Right.
But again, depending on what you need and like, oh, I want
Right.
something more refreshing, whatever, like this definitely works. And there's stuff that's on nitro, which I think is interesting. I like
Right.
that kind of stuff. So this one definitely piqued my curiosity to the fullest because it was $6 for this can.
Oh, okay.
It was either $4.99 or $5.99. I apologize. I think it was
Purchased probably a tap and bottle?
It was purchased at Whole Foods.
Oh, Whole Foods. Well, okay.
So
Then it probably was $5.99.
Yeah, well, it took most of my paycheck. Whole paycheck.
Whole paycheck. Did you use your app? Did you get any?
I didn't. There was no discount on it, so I
Okay.
didn't even bother with it.
Usually if it's stuff that's
but yeah,
outside.
it was. I'm pretty sure it was actually $5.99. They have other ones that are a little bit cheaper if you go for either the single origin or some of their just standard ones. They even do have a nitro one as well, and I don't think that one's a little more expensive, but not a lot. But if you want the bourbon barrel aged, which I thought sounded the most interesting, you're going to pay for it.
Yeah, that anytime something's any beverage spends more time than normal in a in a barrel, it's going to cost a little bit of money. Oh, that's not the color I was expecting.
Yeah, I kind of thought it'd be a little darker.
Yeah, I don't know why. I thought so too.
I don't know why.
I didn't know why.
I saw that one the other day.
I didn't know why.
Yeah. I think it'd be this. I don't know why.
Good character. Oh, and I saw one of my favorites the other day.
Frasier?
Dr. Crane, your Glockenspieler
I'm
sprung
not-
to life.
Nice. Your hot and foamy has exploded.
Yeah.
He's a detective, Yeah, a little lighter, more tea colored than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
I thought it'd be a
absolutely.
little bit darker.
Yours is...
Sorry, I poured a
Maybe-
little more in mine.
No, that's okay. But yeah, it definitely is lighter than I was thinking. But yeah, like tea or even a kind of like the beer we just had.
I was
on the
just
last
thinking that.
podcast.
That's
Yeah.
so funny.
Yeah,
I was
that
just
sort of
thinking
color
that.
too.
Yeah.
Maybe it is.
No, it's not. It's not.
You saw sport. Wow. That was almost too much for me.
There's a lot of aromatics going on there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of aromatics going on in there. I'm getting.
I know we're trying to, but I think we just need to go with this.
Yeah.
Because I get a lot of, I get under roasted coffee though.
I knew you were going to say that.
Do you not get that?
I do, but I don't call it that anymore.
What do you? What do
I
you
just
call it?
I just have kind of lived
Light
with a
roast?
lighter roast. Fruitier notes, like like there's
Okay.
a lot more things. Like more like
This
I'm
is
getting.
the kind of stuff. So I haven't worked at Arbuckle in a long time. I know I'm looking for updates because the information I have is
It's
like,
not necessarily
it's like
updates.
14
I've
years
just tried.
old.
I myself have just tried to move on a
Okay.
little bit with like, this is part of what is in the world now. So I don't. I think because I think to me at least, under roast sounds derogatory. Which
Okay.
I don't think, to me at least, from what I've had, I don't think this smells bad. It just smells different than what normally I get out of a cup of coffee.
What I would want.
It has a little bit
Yeah.
more. Well, yeah,
Personally,
yes,
what I
yes and
want.
no. Like I said, to me, I like the fruitier notes that are in here. I'm definitely getting some of the barrel aging. Like I said, there definitely is some other like sweetness that is not normally just coffee based that's in here. So I'm going to attribute that to the barrel aging. I do always wonder when I smell something like this. I'm like, oh, that smells pretty good. I wonder if it had gotten a little darker,
Right.
But that's like a personal thing, like I said. But yeah, no, I overall like the aroma. I'm just initially a little nervous about how crazy it'll be on the palate, which I've gotten a little bit more into those kinds of things, or I've tried to be, just because that's a very popular flavor profile. So it's kind of I can't ignore it anymore.
You mean the not so full city.
The not so full city.
Okay.
Another term people won't probably really recognize. Yeah, not being a medium roast. Like a lot
Right.
of people say medium roast is baseline. I
Right.
would say this is definitely less than that.
That was just weird when I first put my nose in there. I was just like somewhat assaulted by a lot of things going on, and I think I do get some of the the alcohol from the bourbon barrel. Which is weird.
Yeah, there's something at the back end there. Like I think it almost when we have done previously at least one other Modern Times coffee in the past. There's that aroma. It smells like coffee that was just ground. Like it's that kind of like popping fresh aroma.
Yes, it does have.
But
that.
it just is on the lighter side to what we normally would go for.
So is this cold brewed and then bourbon barrel aged?
They would do it first. No, you barrel it. The beans themselves, the green beans
Okay.
themselves.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, the short version of this process, I don't know exactly how they follow it, but from everything I have read and have seen when I've looked into this, is that you barrel age the green beans themselves for a certain amount of time,
Right.
contacting the wood, and then a lot of times that's why they do these lighter roasts.
So you don't roast it out.
What lighter essences are there, you don't roast them out.
Right. Right.
So
okay.
you're probably not going to usually get a darker roast in these.
Okay.
In general.
All right. I get there's like a little pecan note to me in there.
Yeah, definitely.
And a little bit of the maybe some sweet from the bourbon, but
maybe a little pecan pie, like almost like because of the sweet
The
tying
sweet
it together,
okay.
like because there's a little like mapley kind of sweet thing going on in there, or brown sugar, maybe more like that.
Okay.
There's still a that what you got in the aroma, like what we were talking about, that fruit and liveliness, acidity, like is really like it's kind of making my mouth water a little bit. It's kind of on the side of my tongue, and that's popping around, which I don't mind. I would probably rather it be like a little bit of more of a darker roast, but I understand why they probably can't do that.
Right. No, that makes sense. I hadn't really thought about that before I think you brought that up, but that makes a lot of sense, because those any coffee, whether it bourbon barrel aged or not, the higher notes roast off.
Correct.
First.
Yeah.
So you have to.
And some things hold it better to temperature than others. Like
Right.
Sumatras can take a little more temperature than something else, where it just kind of starts getting, kind of even and kind of thin. But yeah, I like it. I mean, I wouldn't pay $6 a can for it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a lot of. I mean, to have like a. I mean, there's a market for this kind of stuff, obviously, because they sell it.
Yeah.
I just don't. Yeah, I don't know. Any of these things that start to get easier. This is going to be my small rant. Like whether it's like cold brew, K-cups, like all this kind of stuff. I for some reason it bothers me, because it's not that hard to make a cup of coffee.
Right.
And then you can get an even higher quality bean at such a lesser price. Like the amount of coffee that's actually in here for $6 a can.
Right.
If you extrapolated that out, you could have like 3-4 pounds of coffee.
Right.
And either, make your own and buy still, if you want to buy the barrel aged version of this, and then brew your own or pour it over ice. Or there's a lot of different methods that I think actually are better than some of the cold brew stuff I've seen. Like I've seen a lot of people are starting to progress the idea of actually brewing normally, how you would, so you get everything, and then it goes through almost like when you homebrew and you're trying to like almost like a wort chiller kind of thing. You can run it through that, so then it cools it down, but you're still getting everything you got out of the high end. And maybe they do that. Again, they don't talk a lot about their process. On, I mean, I'm more than welcome if they want to talk about this. I would be happy to talk to the owner of Modern Times. That would be amazing. But
didn't we bring up once on one of our a screen that showed a cold brew? Because there's a Japanese cold brewing system that just slowly drips right onto ice. And,
yes.
And we
that was something. Yeah, and then there was a different method like that. So there's a lot of different methods. There's a lot of different things you could do. But yeah, it's a convenience factor. So you're paying for the convenience.
Right.
And then as soon as you start saying, like you said earlier, barrel aged and all these other things, and New Guinea is going to be a little more expensive. You start adding dollars onto that. So I think there's no faults to it. I think it's a very well-made product. It's just maybe not to my palate.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm kind of like, and it's still overall there's a time that I'll maybe if I need a jolt of coffee or something like that, and there's something cold, and that's what I'm in the mood for. But overall, I just don't head to the cold brew option, and this reinforces that with my. I mean, I'm glad we got to try it. I'm glad you got it, and but it's just not.
And I would try others. Like I said, you never know what one they're
involved, and people who do it well. Of course, I'm going to try it. But this is to accentuate the bourbon barrel aged part. They did the light roast, the light roast, and I don't
lighter roast.
I don't like that style of roast coffee. I want more flavor. I want more developed.
You want a little more like the baked bread, the crust. You want more of those kind of the maltiness or whatever. Like you want a little something.
Yes,
little money on it.
You can put a little money on it. That's right.
A little money on it. All right. Well, we may not have enjoyed this one, but there's a lot of other coffee things that we have enjoyed previously.
And Modern Times things.
And Modern Times things, for that matter.
Of course.
And you can find a lot of those things on our YouTube page. That is the place where you can subscribe, find our latest videos, all those things that might tickle your fancy in another fashion. And even if you disagree with us, we appreciate you subscribing, checking us out, letting us know what you like. Maybe you're like, hey, if you didn't like that one, I've had this one. It's really good. Like that's kind of what we're looking for is if you want to comment, tell us, these are the best ones, or if you didn't like that one, here's one that does a darker, roast or whatever.
Right. It's about the dialogue. That's why we started this website 10 years ago, was to engage everyone in discussions about beverages.
About Beverages, get out of town.
Right.
You know where you can find About Beverages? About Beverages can be found on 3 different social media platforms.
3 things.
3 pillars.
Well, I'm going to start with the least one. The one you use it the one we're the least big of a fan of. I don't know. They're all good.
Which one is it?
Facebook.
Okay, that'd be I'm the least fan of that one. But we actually probably post there slightly more than one of the other ones.
Which would be Instagram.
That's correct.
but Twitter's the one we're always on.
Yeah, you can always find.
You know what he's doing throughout the week, and we'll try to let you know. We'll get better at it. Letting people know in advance what we're going to do. Or did you do that this time?
I did not.
I did not either. A few minutes before we went live, I posted that we were doing wine and coffee.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes it's...
So we need everyone to get to the store at like 6:20 Pacific Standard Time.
Waiting for our tweet.
Wait for the tweet, and then you're at the store like, it's like a supermarket sweep. All of a sudden you're like, okay, we need to find it. And you're like looking for stuff like really quick.
Think of all the fun you can have at Supermarket Sweep. Yeah.
But yeah, those are all the places you can find us when we're going live, when we're doing anything else, what we're having throughout the week, and interact with us and let us know what we should be trying, what we shouldn't miss out on, especially if it's like some sort of special limited release thing. That's the stuff we always want to know about. But as we always say, whether we like it or not,
you should give it a shot.